Episode 16 starts with Vincenzo getting arrested for the murder of the media tycoon who was tricked into going to war with Jang Han-suk. Somehow they got a hold of the media tycoon's phone, and he called the police claiming that Vincenzo had kidnapped him. Now that he's fallen to his death from the sky, the logical conclusion is that Vincenzo pushed him down. Vincenzo decides to fight the cops and flee the scene, knowing that he's innocent and they're not. Vincenzo calls Taec-yeon to let her know that he was set up, and the only way to clear his name is to find the real killer. He wants to start by finding the guy that lured him to the body. Luckily, Mr. Park from Bye Bye Balloon believes that he's found the man and has in fact captured him just for the heck of it. Vincenzo tortures the guy until he gives away the meeting point with his partners in crime. The Gunga Plaza team all want to help Vincenzo clear his name, and they quite easily take down the goons. Vincenzo and Taec-yeon bring the real killers to the police and detail what they did along with the evidence. Essentially, they disguised as cleaners, killed the media tycoon in his office, used his phone to report to the police that he's been kidnapped by Vincenzo. Then they moved his body to the plaza and two of them threw him down the roof while one of them lured Vincenzo to the location. So Miss Choi learns again that Vincenzo has escaped her trap. To avoid being implicated in the crime, Miss Choi pinned the kill order on a colleague at Woosan law firm. CEO Han raises his concern with Miss Choi, stating that their law firm isn't in the business of murderers for hire. He tells her that Jang Han-suk is a psychopath. Of course, such psychopath is furious right now that his plan keeps getting foiled when it comes to Vincenzo. A cute scene worth mentioning here is that Vincenzo goes to thank Mr. Park from Bye Bye Balloon for his clutch assist, and the guy requests that Vincenzo pay him back by posing as a model for their travel agency. Vincenzo keeps saying no, but his body is automatically arranging itself into classy poses, along with hilarious props around the office. He's the cutest, most soft-hearted mafia there is. Speaking of heart, Taec-yeon and Vincenzo finally take Miss Oh out on an outing, as promised. Miss Oh asks for a portrait of herself. The somber implication here is that she'll be using this photo as a funeral portrait. To lighten the mood, Taec-yeon drags Vincenzo into the frame, and photos are taken of all three of them together. Taec-yeon even insists that Vincenzo and Miss Oh take a photo without her. Vincenzo struggles to maintain his composure as he squeezes his mother's shoulder. Like, come on, I'm sure by now Miss Oh knows that Vincenzo has gotta be her son. As they walk down a beautiful tree-lined path, Taec-yeon finds a reason to excuse herself, leaving mother and son alone to express themselves. Miss Oh calls the day the happiest moment of her life. She talks about her life and her son, stating that he was her everything. She explains that she looked for him for years, but if she finds him now, she would just be a burden to him in her current state. Vincenzo disagrees and tells her that he's sure her son would love to see her. Tears fill both of their eyes as they try hard to suppress their emotions. It's an extremely moving moment watching Vincenzo break down, but at the same time trying his best to hold his tears in. They never outright explain that the two reunited as mother and son, but it's pretty much implied. When they return to the hospital, Miss Oh gives Taec-yeon and Vincenzo a big hug. As they leave, and we see that he greets a security guard that he's hired to guard Miss Oh's room. All this is giving me a terrible feeling. What about you guys? So in a change of scene, we see Jang Han-suk bringing his little brother Chairman Jun to a building across from Gunga Plaza. We flash back to a conversation that he had with Miss Choi. They concluded that the media tycoon must have recently gotten the dirt on Jang Han-suk. Otherwise, he would have used them much earlier to gain some power. It's likely that he's been blackmailed with some other dirt on him, so they suspect that Vincenzo must have the guillotine file, and he's using the secrets that it contains to slowly launch his attack on Babel. At the end of the flashback, Jang Han-suk orders his little brother to demolish the entire Gunga Plaza. He wants to destroy the guillotine file no matter what the collateral damage is. So then, in the next scene, we see a service woman arriving at the plaza to inspect the gas lines. In reality, she's installing a watch containing a bomb in one of the businesses. That night, the plaza residents were celebrating news of Mr. Lee and his wife becoming parents, but then the fire services arrive, and they explain that they've been tipped about a gas leak, and everybody needs to evacuate. When they check it out, they learn that the gas pipe has been cut by something, and a fireman even finds the watch with a countdown timer approaching 0. Vincenzo suddenly realizes what's going on, so he grabs the watch and he sprints out to the courtyard. He throws the watch out of the window just as it explodes into flames. The residents guess correctly that the woman who came in the morning must have been sent by Babel. But what they don't understand is who reported the gas leak to the fire services. They get the answer pretty soon as Chairman Jeon shows up at their office the next day. He tells them that his brother ordered him to explode the building, and he pretended to agree, but then he called the fire service after. Because he has failed once again, his brother even threw an ornament at him and caused an injury on his forehead. He tells Vincenzo that his brother is after the guillotine file and he knows that it's in the plaza. He hopes Vincenzo can see that he genuinely wants to be allies and that he can actually be useful. Seeing how hard he's trying, Vincenzo finally agrees to let him join their side. But this is where the nightmare really begins. Miss Choi shows Jo Han-suk a file on Vincenzo's mother, so he now knows the person that Vincenzo cares about the most. We also see CEO Han picking up an inmate who's been released early from prison. This is very stressful to watch. At the hospital, Jo Han-suk approaches Miss Oh as an innocent stranger, and they look at a photo of her and Vincenzo while Miss Oh shares her story. He tells her that her son is very handsome, and Miss Oh smiles and says that she's extremely happy to have finally reunited with her son. And she even thanks Jo Han-suk for chatting with her. Vincenzo tells Taec-yeon that he will visit his mother at the hospital and call her mom. As Vincenzo heads up to her hospital room, he bumps shoulder with a man coming down the staircase. When he gets to the ward, there is a big commotion outside Miss Oh's hospital room. What we feared the most has happened. Vincenzo's mother has been murdered. The tension reaches breaking point as Vincenzo enters her room. He spots a crumpled picture of him and his mom on the floor. Presumably she was holding it when she was killed. He kneels next to her, and you can feel his whole world shattering as the grief overwhelms him. He never got to call her mom, and now it's too late. Vincenzo goes straight into investigation mode, and he checks out the hospital CCTV. He can see a man on camera attacking the guard before entering his mom's room. Taec-yeon rushes to the hospital, and she can barely hold her tears. She wants to chase after Vincenzo, but he tells her to stay by his mom's side until he gets back. Meanwhile, the perpetrators, Jo Han-suk and Miss Choi, are celebrating and dancing together. Vincenzo asks Agent An to help him find the killer, and he drives straight to the man's house. A deadly revenge plan is about to unfold. He chokes the man and repeatedly punches him. Pure anger fills his eyes. He tells the man that the woman he killed was his mother, and he asks who gave the kill order while torturing him. Jo Han-suk calls his brother and CEO Han into the room to announce that he has killed Vincenzo's mom. There's shock and fear in the room. Miss Choi accuses CEO Han and Chairman Jeon of joining hands behind their backs and becoming cowards together. So the four argue amongst themselves. The man who killed Vincenzo's mother leads Vincenzo to the estate where Jo Han-suk lives. Vincenzo single-handedly fights through a million layers of security, and suddenly, the terrified and dying killer barges into the room that Jo Han-suk and his gang is in, and Vincenzo kills him in front of them with a silencer. Miss Choi stands with blood on her face, and she's in complete shock as Vincenzo points his gun at her. Death can't come fast enough for this group of evildoers, but the episode ends here on a cliffhanger. This is one of the best episodes of the show, bringing to end a story arc that spans from the beginning of the show. I keep telling myself that Miss Oh is dying of a terminal illness already, and at least she's fulfilled her lifelong dream of reuniting with her beloved son. But it's still so heartbreaking to see her life cut short, just as it's starting to become hopeful. I hate Jo Han-suk so much, and I pray he gets what he deserves. Will this mess with Vincenzo and send him into a tailspin? So remember to subscribe, and let's find out in the next episodes of Vincenzo. Thank you for watching!